Hi all, I thought I'd do a video on something I'm going to try out. I want to make some moulds, custom moulds, and I'm going to use a couple of different things. First of all, Hirst Arts moulds. They're useful, or it's useful to be able to make custom moulds. So if, for instance, you want to make loads of these pieces here, but you don't want any of these, or vice versa, you can obviously make custom moulds for that purpose. If you use just this mould and you need, for instance, lots of these curved paving for whatever reason, but you don't need any of the rest, it's a bit of a pain, because not only are you're going to get plaster in probably most of these, but even if you don't, you can only do 2 at a time. Now let's say you need 100. Well, if you make, say, I don't know, 10 or 20, you can then duplicate those by making a custom mould, just those pieces. So that's what I'm going to try. First of all though, what I will do is give a disclaimer. I own this mould. I own 150 plus Hirst moulds. And what I would like to say is the chap who makes them, a chap called Bruce Hirst in the USA, it's amazing. These moulds are just unbelievably good. You know, the level of detail and accuracy, it's a work of art, all of his moulds. And all I would like to say is please only use this for personal use, not for any type of commercial use. This is purely so you can make custom moulds as you see fit. I don't actually have any custom pieces available at the moment because this is a sort of last minute video. So I'm going to use these pieces I made a while back. You must make sure they're dry, completely dry. I did these last year I think, so they're obviously completely dry now. And you know, Bruce is, I think his wife as well, it's their livelihood. So please only use this for personal use, not for any commercial type use or any way. And you know, credit to Bruce, they're superb moulds, really are, and the quality is just amazing. So just a disclaimer there. I'm also going to try moulding these rocks that I got in Tenerife, which is in the Canary Islands, last year I think, or a year before. They're very lightweight, that's heavier. I don't know if they're called igneous rocks, I think they might be, but anyway, whatever. They're volcanic rock, so I'm going to try and mould those as well. What you're going to need is, I'll just put the camera up a little bit, you're going to need silicone sealant. This was from Screw Fix in the UK, and it's important to use silicone sealant. You can get cheaper sealant, which is acrylic sealant. Don't do it, it doesn't work. You need silicone sealant. This is no nonsense brand, £2.79 in Screw Fix. You can get various colours. This one just happens to be beige. I have tried on an other project this brand, Everbuild, from Tool Station, which was £1.90 a tube, so £1.90 and £2.79. This did job, but it took longer to dry. I'm not quite as happy with the quality of it, so I tried it just to see if I could save a little bit of money and to see if it was any better. It's not. I'd say no nonsense is better. You can colour this stuff, you can add a little bit of acrylic paint. You don't need to add much at all, probably about 5% acrylic paint. If you wanted to, you know, you can get white and colour it whichever colour you like. But I'm not going to for this. You need a couple of mixing cups, caulking gun. I got this from Lidl, I think it was, which is a German supermarket. That's in the UK. Oh, German. No, I'm kidding. They're all right, unless they're storming the borders. No, I am kidding. That was about £3 or £4, £5 maybe. It's actually very good. The cheaper ones you can get, the handles always seem to give way under pressure. So I thought I'd get a half decent one. You need something plastic to put the pieces on, to glue them to. This is just something I found to hand. It's probably not great, and it's got that in the middle which doesn't help, but it's just as a you know, something to do it, to show you. You need PVA glue. I got this in Screwfix, $9.99. I mean, I buy a lot of stuff in bulk, and Screwfix is very good for quality items at really good prices. So that's 5 litres. That. There's something else you need, which I'll go into later. You also need super glue. Again, that was Tool Station. Very good. It's about £1.22. So you know, you can get high viscosity or low viscosity. High viscosity, if I'm thinking right, is thicker. So that as well, and you need that to glue the pieces down onto the plastic. A brush. This is a disposable brush. I mean, not high quality, but useful for jobs. I don't know, you get 12 of those for a couple of pounds, I think, on Amazon, maybe from elsewhere. Stirring stick, and something to contain the silicone, which this is classically used, Lego basically, so you can, you know, contain when you put the liquid in. But it's not always necessary to use this, but I'm going to be using it today. So what I'm going to do first of all is stick the pieces I want to mould onto here, and then I'll come back and show you. Okay, right, I've glued these down. I'll do the last two. You don't need much, so I'll do it on these pieces in an S shape, just like that. So it's not a lot, if you can see, just an S shape. Leave it for a few seconds to start to cure. When you're using super glue, always give it a tap to get any glue back down the nozzle before you seal it. Just a small tip, because sometimes it can get clogged and you've got to use a nail or something in it, which is a right pain. So I'm going to put these on here now. It's hard to get them in place without them sliding, so you just have to really drop them and then position them like so. Takes a few seconds for it to set. So what I'm doing, I'm using 2 different methods for this. So I'll pick exactly the same pieces. So again, if you want extra moulds, to get extra blocks or extra flooring, I've put these 2. This is a staircase piece. This is mould 66, which I think is one of the tower moulds. I've done these excuse me, I've done these purely because they're more intricate and maybe more difficult to accurately duplicate. Also, they've got an undercut here, which it's not easy to see here. This side is undercut under here, which in itself may be difficult to but whatever, you know, that's what I'm going to attempt to do. What you need to do, I mean, here you can see the super glue has some of it is squeezed out from underneath. So what you need to do is let that set. You don't want to be doing anything until that is set. I don't know if I mentioned the Lego. Did I mention the Lego? You need something to create a barrier, and this is popular with amateur mould makers. You can make it any size you like. It's just useful to contain the moulding material, and then you can just remove it at the end. Some people fix these down with clay or whatever. I probably will, but I've got clay somewhere. I can't find it. So I'm going to use blue tack just to hold this slightly in place. And again, you know, this isn't professional mould making, it's just to enable you to make some quick and cheap custom moulds of whatever you like, basically. So what you have to do next is to seal them with the PVA, because it's porous. If you don't seal them, the silicone will stick to the plaster. It depends. I mean, something I've done recently with this one didn't stick so badly, but when I've done a recent project with this one, it did stick badly. So you need to seal the plaster because it's porous, so it will draw in the silicone and become one and the same almost. Silicone generally only sticks to itself, I believe, so it doesn't stick to most things. However, if it's something like this porous, it will sink in and sort of grab hold of it. So you need to seal it. Now what I'm going to seal it with is a 50-50 mix of PVA and water, roughly 50-50, and just brush it over. Again, what you need to do is then let that dry properly, which in this weather, I mean, it's quite nice today. We've got some really nice weather coming up next few days. What is it, 3rd of May, 4th of May? Just to prove it doesn't rain in England all the time. We had some really nice weather a few weeks back when I did some videos of a patio I'm building. We had about a week of it in the mid to late 20s, which in April is quite unusual. Anyway, I digress. So I'm going to let that properly set, then I'm going to seal them with PVA mix 50-50, let that dry, and then I'll show you how to go about making the mould. I am going to also make moulds of these. This may be porous, but I'm not sure, so what I might do is seal one of them and not the other one and see what happens. And this one, again, it may be porous, but I'm probably just going to chance it and see what happens. If it fails, it fails. I've got a few of these. Again, I've got these. You can really mould almost any type of rock. In fact, you can mould almost anything to a large extent. So I'm going to give that a go as well. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to let this dry properly, then I'm going to seal them, and I'll come back and show you that. Okay, this is now set. The excess that has come out from underneath is also set, as far as I can tell. So now what you need to do is coat them, seal them. So I've made a 50-50 mix, PVA glue with water. It's sort of just a bit thicker than milky consistency, but that's fine. 50-50. I mean, it's only got to be approximate. And all you do is just coat them. So I'm just going to give that a go. You can sort of liberally splash it on, to be honest, because these are porous, they're absorbent. So they will absorb any excess. So I'll do the tops first. I'm not sure whether it's best to do the tops or the sides first, so I'll try both. I'll try the tops on these and then the sides on the other one. So just make sure you give it a good coating. You can put it on thick to start with, but you do want to try and brush off as much as you can. And the idea of putting it on thick first is so you do get into all the nooks and crannies. These are going to be the difficult ones, but you know, we'll see. It's just an idea. You know, it just, yeah, because I've used Hirst a lot, and again, they are excellent. But the only downside is sometimes you do want a lot of blocks of one particular type. Got a fly in my hair, typical. Of one particular type, and then just sort of go around the sides. Again, you can sort of slap it on, to be honest. Yeah, so excuse me if I'm sniffing, but I've got hay fever. That's a typical, you know, in England. we get some sun, and then I'll get hay fever. But we're a funny old country, really, funny people. We spend our lives wishing we were, or most of us spend our lives wishing we were somewhere hot and sunny, you know, on holiday somewhere, Caribbean or Spain or Canary Islands or Greece or wherever. And then we get nice weather here. But as soon as we get nice weather here, suddenly everyone moans that it's too hot. We're just a bit odd, you know. We talk about the weather probably more than anything else in the world. We're known for it. You know, when you get stuck in the lift, you know, that uncomfortable feeling when you know, you don't know what to say, and it's that sort of that silence and whatever. Most of the time what we do is end up talking about the weather, because it passes the time, it breaks the silence, and everyone knows where they stand, because we always talk about the weather. And we've got a nice forecast for the next few days, and it's almost front page news. Such is the such is the way we are over here. Anyway, yeah, so I've got hay fever, and I keep blowing my nose, and it just keeps running. So there you go. So you want to try and get in under all of the pieces as much as you can. You're never going to get all of it. And again, what I would say is the stuff that Bruce uses, it's probably RTV silicone, which I have some of, but it's quite expensive. And you know, it is quite fussy in the sense that you've got to, like, if you're using something to hold the mould in place, i.e. like the Lego part, there's certain types of clay you can't use, and I can't recall what they are now, but like, I think plasticine you can't use. I may be wrong, you need to look into it, but there's things that you can't use because the silicone won't cure. It will, if you like, it will what's the word, well, not infect it, stupid word, pollute it, I don't know, it will do something to the silicone so it won't cure. And I've seen lots of videos on YouTube excuse me, about this, and because I can't remember what it is, and I can't be bothered to watch all the videos again to find the one, or find one where it mentions it, I won't go into much more detail. This, however, this type of silicone isn't fussy. It really isn't. It will cure regardless. So that's the first one. If I turn it round, I'll do the second one. So, well, anyway, what I'll do the second one, and then I'll come back. I was going to do the sides first, wasn't I? Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do the second one, finish the second one, and then I'll come back when it's dry and show you the end result. I can see, actually, looking now from the opposite side with the sun, these haven't been coated very well. So I'm going to just give those another coat. And again, the whole purpose of this is to enable you to demold relatively easily, so it doesn't stick to the silicone, or so the plaster doesn't stick to the silicone. And I said the reason that happens essentially is because the plaster is porous, and so it will cling hold of the moisture in the silicone will cling to the plaster, and will be difficult to demold. Not impossible, but difficult. And again, this is really a learning curve for me, because I've dabbled with this silicone with other things, but I've not attempted to do anything intricate like this. So it could be a disaster, who knows. Anyway, so that's that one done. I'll come back when I've finished the other one and when it's dry. I thought I'd just come back while I'm sealing these, just to mention that obviously as it dries, it gets sticky, but also because it absorbs, because the plaster absorbs the PVA, you can keep just working it in between. So you're where you may see it pulled along the underside edges there, like you may just see it there. If you just keep working it, it will disappear. So it's not just, I mean, you cover it, but you don't just leave it. You just keep working it, and I can feel it drying all the time. Again, it's only about, I don't know, about 18 degrees today. It's due to get up to, I think, 27 on Monday. 27 is early to mid 80s, but it's about 18 today, so that's it's about mid 60s. So it's warm enough for it to dry reasonably quickly, but just keep working it, just keep spreading the PVA around, and also by doing this you get rid of any air bubbles which is in the PVA glue, which is actually quite rare, because I don't know if you can see that, but PVA doesn't seem to, when you mix it, it doesn't seem to have a lot of air bubbles, and if it does, they seem to disappear quite quickly, which is a bit strange. Yeah, I mean, in this country we use centigrade, and it's all to do with the metric system that we use. I mean, I personally use both metric and imperial. I mean, we buy, see, we are such a strange country. We buy fuel, petrol or gas elsewhere, by the litre, but we gauge our mileage by the gallon. So if your car does 40 to the gallon, it does 40 to the gallon. If it does 50 to the gallon, 50. We don't say 15 to the litre, but our fuel is priced in litres. But we're just a bit strange. I use both metric and imperial measurements. If you've got to be precise, then really most people will use metric. Most things today you buy in metric sizes. So a typical example would be 8x4 sheet material, like plywood or plasterboard, gypsum board, anything like that. MDF. We don't have 8x4 anymore, and I don't think we have for many years. But you have close to 8x4. So what you actually buy is two 400 by 1200, which is 2,400 millimeters by 1200 millimeters, which is the same as 2.4 meters by 1.2 meters, which is very close to 8x4. And that's a typical example. So you get people going into a builder's merchants or DIY shop, and they'll ask for, have you got the 8x4 plasterboards? Yeah, they're over there. Most people know exactly what they're talking about. The fact it's not actually 8x4 is neither here nor there, but it's just the way we are in this country, and things are mostly in metric now. Most of our foods are in metric. Some, if not all, will also show imperial measurements. I may be wrong, but a lot do, but generally they're in metric. So, but then, so yeah, you buy a bottle of Coke and it'd be a litre or 2 litres or sometimes 3 litres. A bottle of wine, excuse me, is in millilitres, 750 millilitres I think, or 700. Like whiskey generally is in 700 millilitres or 1 litre. And yet you go to a pub and you order a pint of lager. Strange. Or you want a pint of milk. Or you go and buy 4 pints of milk, even though everything else generally is in millilitres and litres. So what that will, we're just a strange country. We really are. Our road signs are miles distance, so you know, 45 miles to wherever, London or whatever. Our fuel gauges on the car, sorry, our mileometers on the car are in miles. I think there's been pressure over the years from the European Union to get us to change the kilometres, but we never have and we never will, especially as we hopefully will be leaving. We're supposed to be, but until it actually happens, I won't believe it. So, you know, we're a bit of a strange country. We do things generally our way. I was watching something not long ago actually saying that the US and I think 2 other countries, which is Liberia and what was the other one? Oh, I can't remember the other one. Liberia, I can't remember the other one, and the US are the only countries in the world who are still using officially the imperial measuring system, or the imperial system. Every other country in the world has switched to metric. Although apparently things like American industry, military, all that sort of thing, they use metric as well, because you've got to be so precise and it is much easier to understand. But people from my generation who went to school in the 70s and 80s, we were sort of taught both, learned both. So I don't know if it's the same with youngsters today, but yeah, I use both just as a guide. So if I'm measuring something, you know, whatever, I'll say that's about 3 feet or that's about 6 inches. I wouldn't say that's 15 centimetres, not normally. So maybe it's just me, but anyway, there you go. Just thought I'd give you a little explanation. So yeah, just keep working it. That's largely done now, and then once it's dry, I'll come back and we can start moulding and see where it goes from there.